Hi everyone, a pleasant day. If you are new to this channel, I am Avi and I give tips and tricks on work-life balance, maximizing technology and growing in faith. And today I would like to tell you what I do in order to balance work and life while working from home. But first, I have to tell you that I've been doing some work from home, shall I say study from home, ever since I started my CPA review. And that was about 30 years ago. And the reason is that I could have started it when I was in the university, but of course, attendance is something that is tracked by the teachers. So what I did is once I have decided to go for the CPA review and I left UE, UE had a fantastic goals for all of us. Perhaps they really wanted us to be top-notchers, but somehow I didn't like the stress. So I decided to go for CPAR. And I would try to be absent in some days that I know is not worth the effort of going to Manila to commute from Malolos. If I already know the topic and I could spend some time really trying to do a lot of exercises and problems. So that is my first experience of working from home. So you can see I have years of experience. It's really in my philosophy. If I can really save time. So with that experience, I would like to share with you how do I balance work and life while working from home. And the first thing that is very important is that you have the necessary equipment. Some people would say that it is the infrastructure. So that's the first thing that is important. You should have the equipment. The basic thing is really the desktop, the computer, whether it's a desktop or it's a laptop. And I know that many people were caught flat-footed because they only had their desktop in the offices. So if there's really no way to bring home even your office's computers, then I would recommend that we go into this installment basis because you cannot talk about balancing work and life when you don't really have the necessary equipment that you need to work. Let's start with the half of the equation, which is to work. So you really need to have the equipment and the right equipment. And of course, the internet connection. These days, the internet is very slow. So you must have some alternative of having to do some work that doesn't rely on the internet, which is probably some writing. So it's a matter of trying to have some list of things to do if the internet is bad. But the basic thing, I think, is using a computer. And the next tip that I give you in order to balance work and life while working from home is basically having a routine. In my circle of friends, sometimes they think that routine is bad, but sometimes it's in the way you understand it. Like when you do things out of routine without love, then it becomes routinary and you don't do it well. But routine is like having, some people will say it is a ritual. And you can say that having a routine will save you time thinking what else is there to do. Having a ritual basically for me is the major thing. I wake up at 5:30. I do some morning prayer at 6 o'clock. And that one I can still remember from childhood when I would wake up and my grandfather was already at 4 o'clock starting his prayers. So it's something that I have learned, and that's why it's still there. It doesn't disappear. I go to Mass at 6:30, and then I do some cleaning at 7:30 to 8, and then I have breakfast at around 8:10. I start working at 9 o'clock, and then I have early lunch at 11:30, and that's around 30 minutes. 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock dinner is a huge amount of time to work. It's like having some blocks of time in order to work. And then at 7 o'clock, I stop to do my rosary, and then also some minutes of prayer. And then at around 8:15, I have a get-together with my family. At 9 o'clock, I start going to bed. At 9:30, I should be in bed. So that's like 9:30 to 5:30 is 8 hours of sleep. So that is my routine. And having a good sleep, that is my next video, having a good sleep is really part of being productive. Having the energy for both work and life challenges. And then an important thing about having the routine is already dressing up for work before I even start my morning prayer. And that's it until I go to bed at 9. Some people get used to being so relaxed because you're at home, but once in a while when I get some calls, I don't even have to tell them, wait, I'm going to change from my pajamas. So I don't do that. It's really part of my ritual. All the time, it's like I'm in a professional setting. If I'm out of my bedroom, I am in a professional setting. Well, of course, sometimes, some days is casual, like Sundays after Mass. It could be a casual attire. And my third tip in order to have work-life balance is having the right physical environment. It's having your workspace. It's different from my bedroom because somehow I think that when I'm in my bedroom, sometimes I don't get to rest at night because still the work area is just there. So I decided to have my little space, and I think that's very important. But sometimes it could be a challenge. So just try your best. A very, very little space there that could really be dedicated to work could be very important to have balanced work and life. Part of this physical environment is having the supplies that you need. I literally invested in a very nice IKEA cabinet where I just have everything there because I experienced having to look around for things, so it's an investment, no? My fourth tip is I just say you just walk around. You know, it's not the typical hours that you spend walking around because sometimes because we're in quarantine, we cannot leave the house. But I just take time to really go to the kitchen, go somewhere else, walk around. And part of this walking around is doing some household tasks, doing some washing, ironing. I don't really just do it on Saturday and Sunday because in the end, I will dread the Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes I do my washing and then I listen to some YouTube lessons. That's the way I try to schedule some days. Having some time to just relax my mind and just listen and while doing some work with my hands. So it's something that I can combine, working with my hands and my eyes and my mind. And the fifth thing is managing your relationships. Because you're at home, people are expecting you to be available. I've mentioned it in another video, Papa and Mama are there, so the children will go and see you and ask you. So somehow, I think it's very important to communicate. I usually communicate to my family that I have a webinar this coming Saturday. So somehow they get the idea that I need some more concentration and I need more prayers so that I can get to be very productive. So that is the thing that I would say you have to manage your human relationship, which is quite different from the other four things, which is more of the physical aspect, the equipment, and yourself. Basically, my meal time is really with them. I don't eat in my workplace. So I go down to the dining room and I have time with them. And you know, the last thing, which is not really part of my everyday, but I do try to do every day, is to have my, you can just put it hobbies or businesses or advocacies or NGOs. Work by itself can really be very stressful. And especially these days, the bad news that we hear can actually be more stressful. So what I do is I try my best to do something like if I sell USANA, I really try to make sure that I have some products delivered. If it's ordered now, I make sure because there's a rider who's going to make use of the money and who's going to be happy with the tip that I'm giving. So I think that could be another video. I really try to make sure that I give some paid work to somebody as much as possible every day. Of course, I'm not selling USANA that you buy to me, but the thing is, aside from USANA, I also have a business in Carousel. I have many other things. So it's the way that I try to balance my work and my life and even my advocacies. So these are all for today, and I hope you have learned from this, and do comment below what is it that you do in order to balance your work and life while working from home. And I'll see you in the next one.